All right, everyone. Welcome to the March 2012 VanEck Salesforce.com training update. Made a couple of changes to Salesforce in the first quarter of this year, and want to take just a few moments to go over some of these changes. On the agenda for this particular training, we're going to talk about the idea of a complete contact. We're going to talk about the two different ways we use to segment clients and prospects, and we're also going to talk about subscription management. All the information we're going to go over today is also covered in the Salesforce.com user guide. So if you missed something or want to go back and review something at a later date, you can always refer back to the user guide. All right, what is a complete contact? Basically, what we're looking for are what are the most basic pieces of information we need to know about a contact. The first three basic pieces of information we're looking for are very simple. We're looking for name, we're looking for channel. So who are they and what type of firm do they work for? The information in the channel field is actually spoken to by the firm. So depending on the type of firm that you add the contact to will determine what fills in the channel field. You'll see what I mean a little bit later on. In addition, how can we reach them? We need to know what their phone number is, we need to know what their email address is, and we need to know what their mailing address is. So can we call them, can we email them, can we send them something? In addition, we've got a couple of other fields that, based on feedback, we know to be highly valuable as well too. Those fields being what's their title, what's their mobile phone number, and also what's their salutation, salutation being Mr., Mrs., Doctor, etc. All right, so what are those fields again? This is what it looks like on the contact detail page. We're looking for the first name, we're looking for the last name, we're looking for the phone number, we're looking for the email, we're looking for address, and there's that channel field that we spoke about. And in addition, this is a relatively new field, field called Contact Completeness Indicator. This is a quick way to sort of look at the contact and figure out whether or not the contact is deemed to be complete. By looking right here, you'll see, like in this particular example, Mr. John Bon Jovi is missing some information. He's missing a phone number and an email. So perhaps the next time we reach out to Mr. Bon Jovi, we would look to fill in that information to make the contact complete. All right, here's the first of a couple of helpful tips. Helpful tip number one, always check the contact's channel and organization type. What we mean by this is if you're adding a contact that you know is, let's say like in the case of John Bon Jovi, is a wirehouse rep, we know he's part of the financial advisor channel. If we happen to add him to a firm and the channel indicates that he's part of the RIA channel or he's part of the institutional channel, then it could mean a couple of different things. One, it could mean that the contact was added to the wrong firm, in which case we need to correct that. The second thing it could mean is that potentially the firm that you need doesn't exist on Salesforce, in which case you can either reach out to myself or you can reach out to your manager, and what we'll do is we'll see if we can find the firm, and if we can't, indeed the firm can be created for you with the correct channel. All right, segmenting clients and prospects. We've got two different ways that we do this. Basically, number one is by using the contact status, which you see up here in the upper right-hand corner. The second is by using the Sequoia qualifying fields. Talk about contact status first. Top producer would be used to indicate advisors that are in the top 80% of your sales and are also above average producers for your group of clients. Client, these would be people that are in the top 80% of sales but are below the average for your clients. Hot prospect, this value designates a contact that we've spoken to or met with and they've expressed some interest in our products, or they're maybe on the bubble, meaning they're part of the bottom 20% of your clients, but they produce above average. And prospect, this value designates a contact that we may or may not have spoken to, or maybe our, the term we're using is not happening part of your client base. Basically, what you're talking about is the 20%. They're in the bottom 20% and they're below average production. In addition, a couple of other fields, a little less related to their sales production or potential ability as a prospect. We've got contact. This is basically a field you would use to designate somebody who we want to stay in touch with, that we want to be aware of, but that that doesn't have the potential to be a producer. This could be a valuable administrative assistant. It could be a non-producing branch manager, sales manager, something along those lines. We also have the in transition value here. In transition would be used when you have a contact that's changed firms and you either don't know where they've gone or you haven't had the time yet to look up where they might have gone. You can tag them in transition and then revisit them at a later date to figure out whether it's worth trying to continue the relationship. Not interested is pretty self-explanatory when somebody indicates that they're not interested in any of our products. And also delete. This field has been used for a little while now. The definition hasn't really changed. It's for contacts that you believe should be removed from the database. Let's say somebody's left the industry altogether or deceased or something along those lines. The second way we segment clients and prospects are using the Sequoia qualifying criteria. The first of those fields is the ETF power user field. This field is used to indicate advisors that allocate 25% of their time and effort or assets towards ETFs, or they meet certain ETF asset thresholds. This varies depending on the channel. For the financial advisor channel, the threshold is having at least 10 million in ETF assets. For RIA, it's at least 25 million in ETF assets. And for institutional key accounts and asset managers, they need to advise at least 50 million in ETF assets. There's also a value for total assets under management. We've got rep as PM, which is where you would indicate whether or not the advisor has discretion over clients' assets. Year entered business, how much experience does the client have? Do they use multiple VanEck products? Is the majority of their business fee-based? Specifically, does the contact have more than 60% of their business in fee-based accounts? The second set of fields in the second set of Sequoia fields, we want to know, are they a qualified team? In other words, do they have at least, do they work on a team that has at least 3 to 6 members? Usually these types of teams have an analyst or some type of a junior partner. Are they a center of influence or advocate for VanEck products? Are they in the growth portion of their business? Does the contact expect year-over-year growth in their business to exceed 10%? This would obviously be in contrast with, say, an advisor who is potentially looking to retire or not grow their business and has a stagnant, assets under management. Do they use non-traditional asset classes, or at the very least, are they open to using non-traditional asset classes? And the threshold that we're looking at here is at least 10%. If they're using less than 10%, we're not really considering that using non-traditional asset classes. Outside research. What third-party research does the contact use? If they indicate that they really don't look at outside research, you would put N/A in the field. And finally, VanEck access to business. Is the contact willing to listen to new ideas and act as partner with the VanEck salesperson? Obviously, this would be these types of contacts are the ones that we like to do business with, right? They return our phone calls, they return our emails, and they're willing to truly work with us as business partners. Now, the Sequoia qualification indicator field, which is located below the contact status field, this field analyzes the information gathered in the 12 Sequoia fields we just discussed. And what it does is it automatically it takes the information gathered at the contact level and puts them in the following categories. If we have no information, or you might notice this on a newly created contact, the indicator indicates that it's open. If the indicator reads contacted, that means we've gathered some information, but not enough to determine whether or not they're a qualified prospect or a non-prospect. A qualified prospect would mean this is a contact where we know six or more of the criteria gathered in the Sequoia fields are answered in the affirmative, or are the type of indicate that they're the type of advisors that we generally like working with. Conversely, a non-prospect would be a contact with six or more negative answers in the criteria. That doesn't mean a non-prospect may not necessarily be or become a producer. It's just based on what we know, the likelihood starts to diminish with every negative answer that we get. And just as a reminder, the Salesforce users don't actually enter this information. This information is automatically calculated by Salesforce and is put into the Sequoia qualification indicator field. All right, subscription management. Subscription management gives control and customization capabilities to the Salesforce contact. And specifically, the customization we're talking about is it allows the advisors through either our website or through the VanX salesperson to customize the type of message that they would like to get. So you can manage a subscription on the contact detail page by going down to the subscription history, clicking Edit Subscription, and then selecting the subscription that the contact has told you that they would like to get or receive. In this particular case, you can see this contact has elected to receive the mutual fund monthly newsletter, the mutual fund commodity monthly newsletter, and the ETF monthly newsletter. You can also see here that they've unsubscribed from the commodity weekly newsletter. All right, so let's see what this looks like in a live environment. This is so first we'll address contact completeness. This is our contact, John Bon Jovi, who we were looking at earlier. And as you can see, we can tell from the contact completeness indicator, he's missing one or more of the 6 critical contact points. We have his name, his first name and last name. We don't have his phone number, so let's say we went to the internet and found out what his phone number was. We would enter it here. Let's say we made a call to him. In that call, he gave us what his email address was. So we go ahead and we put in his email address. We click Save, and we can now see that his contact completeness indicator has gone from indicating that he's missing some data to that he has the 6. Let's say we also have determined that he's a doctor. We also know that what his title is. And he also gives us his mobile number because we're going to be meeting up with him later, and he wants us to be able to call him if we get lost or are late on our way to that particular meeting. Now you'll notice when I click Save, the contact completeness indicator indicates that we've reached the coup de grace of 9 contact data points. So again, I think our emphasis at this point is really focusing on getting the 6 critical points. But if you can get the 9, obviously, the better off we're going to be. As you can see, his contact status is empty. We haven't put anything in there, and his Sequoia qualification indicator is open because we haven't indicated anything in these Sequoia fields. Okay. Contact status. So let's say we've determined that Dr. Bon Jovi is a hot prospect. We go ahead and we save that. Let's say we go, and in the course of that first conversation, we learned he has $50 million in ETF assets, making him an ETF power user. He has $500 million in assets under management. He has total discretion over his clients' accounts, and the vast majority of his business is indeed in fee-based. If you ever need a refresher of what the values are that we're looking for, that information is indicated in the help text located by hovering over the question marks next to the field. So I go ahead and click Save, and the Sequoia qualification field will change from open to contacted. Now let's say time has passed, and we actually had that meeting with Dr. Jovi, or Bon Jovi, and we also learned that indeed he is part of a rather large team, and they're definitely doing whatever they can, seminars and other means to try and really grow their business at a rate of more than 10% a year. I then changed those two fields to match the answers that I'm given, and I can see that he has now been deemed a qualified prospect. To give you an idea of how this information might be used, it's one thing to gather the information, but how might you use it? I'm going to refer back to this report. Many of you have seen a version of this report before, but never quite like this. This is the available on the dashboard. This is the eye contact report of clicks over the last 7 days. Now, the way you guys are used to seeing it, it shows how many times a particular person has clicked. The version I'm looking at here shows you what the contact status is of the person that clicked. So I'm able to look here and determine whether or not my top producers are actually clicking through on the email. And from this report, you can also see then what are they clicking on. Are they clicking on the things that let's say you've got somebody who's a top producer, but they're a top producer in hard assets, but they're starting to click on the links that are associated with the emerging markets products. Maybe this presents a possible cross-sell opportunity for you. So, and obviously with contact status, we could also sort this particular report by Sequoia qualifying fields as well too. So, and as you know, we already have a Sequoia qualifying a Sequoia dashboard as well too. So that's just one example of a report and how the segmentation can be used to really help us figure out what's going on with our clients and help us to balance our time there. Thanks very much for participating here. If you have any questions, definitely give me a call. My phone number is 212-293-2077. And like I said at the beginning, all of this information is also contained in the Salesforce.com user guide, which is updated and kept on the intranet. So you can always refer back to that. So thank you very much and have a great day. Happy selling.